Hello.
Well, hola.
Hopefully this is working correctly. But yeah, this is a very special occasion.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Dual Senses, a PlayStation podcast where we give you our 2 senses on everything PlayStation. My name is Alex Wolf, and I'm here joined with
Stephen Morrow.
Steven. It's been what? 6, 7 months?
It's been a long time. It's been longer than it should have been.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd just say it has to be more than 6 months because my son is 6 months. So it has to be I know I had to hop off well before then to prepare for birth.
Yeah. For you giving birth.
Not me giving birth. No.
Well, yeah, but that's a big thing.
It was a big thing.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
How is dad life?
Every time I think I've peaked at dad life, I do something almost immediately after that has made it no, this is peak. It's an ever-growing, ever-changing challenge.
So, what's the most recent dad peak?
Most recent dad peak, and I'm like, okay, so I woke up and my knee was just hurting, throbbing. It hurt. I'm like, good God, I can't. This is it. This is dad life. Baby screaming. My knee hurts for no reason. Dad life. I love
that knee pain is.
So it gets worse. I immediately get out of bed and both of my legs crack, audibly loud. And I'm like, never mind that.
I think that's just aging. I don't think that's dad life. But I think that's dying life.
I feel like the speed it has all happened,
Alex,
has accelerated since the child.
You're losing your legs.
I don't think I'm losing. I can still walk. It just hurts when I walk every now and then.
You're just losing your knees then.
I've always had bad knees. I mean, granted, they did not crack like crab legs.
I love the little fork. You know the little fork that they give you to scoop out the meat?
Yeah.
I love it.
Meat.
I'll just scoop out your little crab meat from your dad legs.
My crab meat.
Your dad legs.
You don't touch my dad legs.
Jesus Christ.
King Daddy crab legs.
All right. I apologize.
I don't.
I'm glad that things are exactly the same as they were
last time
that we recorded.
Why would they change?
I guess you're right. It's naive of me to think that
it is
that I would become a more functioning human. So it seems like the microphone is working, which is good. For audio listeners, this is a unique episode because we are doing this live. So we're recording the audio and the video live. Huffle in the chat says that it sounds great. That's awesome. Thank you, Huffle.
Good to know.
She's our moderator for this episode and probably many more to come. So thank you, Huffle, for that. But yeah, we are.
What is a Huffle?
Huffle, like Hufflepuff, but it's Huffle Hug is her name on Twitch. Huffle Hug.
I'm disappointed in you.
Don't be disappointed. It's great. I think it's a great name.
Mm-mm.
I'm surprised it wasn't already taken, actually.
That's true. That's a good point.
See, and it's great for future branding too, because you can have Huffle Hug teddy bears. You can have Huffle Hug blankets. I mean, think about it. You can get yourself a Huffle Hug.
Dollar bill, y'all.
Yeah. Future ideas, in case you're interested. I'm so used to that look you just gave me through the camera, Alex. For those of you who can't see, it's a look of confusion and disappointment. But mostly disappointment.
Pretty sure I wore that face all throughout high school. On a daily
You wore the face. You woke up in the morning, went through the closet, you picked that face, and you just slapped it on.
Slapped it on there. And you know what? It lasted a few years after high school.
Jesus. Oh, I just remembered that I need to share the links.
The links?
The links.
The links.
The links to watch this. So I'm going to do that. Here, do a thing.
Do a thing. All right. So, Steven, last time we were here, there was a lot going on. And really the biggest thing was on a regular basis, we'd hop on this show. And we'd talk about how I, Alex Wolf, had a PlayStation 5 at launch. And Steven would regularly talk about how he was going to commit a crime to get a PlayStation 5.
I was ready to kill a man. Or a child. I'd steal from a child, but kill a man.
I mean, I guess that's better. But anyway, so Steven, you have recently acquired a PlayStation 5.
Yes,
Yes.
I fucking did, and the way that it happened was so sudden. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't think I would have one for another like few years, but yeah.
See, he says this, but I would like periodically, like I had Twitter alerts set up for Cheap Ass Gamer to notify me every time he tweeted, and that was done in order to notify me when PlayStation 5 links would drop for purchase. I would send Steven a link every damn time, and he was always asleep. It did not,
Or
care.
at work with shitty internet.
Every time tells me he's not gonna get one in a year. I'm over here sending him a link like every 5 minutes.
My mom was sending me links.
It sounds like it was just for lack of effort, Steven.
Well, no, but like I gave up. I honestly gave up because it was so hard, and every time
that is literally the definition of lack of effort.
I efforted for a little bit, but then it was just depressing. Like there's nothing worse than just. I mean, there are a few things that are worse, but for me, there's nothing worse than like seeing a PlayStation 5 in your cart, pressing the purchase button, and it just like not working every single time. It happened like 30 times. I don't like it.
Yeah.
That's like putting something in your hand and saying, all right, now give me the money. And then you give them the money and then they're like, you know what? Never mind. And then they take the thing back and then they give you your money back.
They didn't even take your money to give it back. They just said, hey.
Except instead of taking it back, they're like, oh, it was never there to begin with.
Yeah.
It's all a lie. It's all bullshit. But thanks to a good friend and an amazing mother,
I mean, you're not wrong, but yeah.
And another good friend, I eventually did get the PS5, and I wrote an extremely long article about it, and I put it on the website for anyone interested.
You didn't tell me you did that.
I thought I sent it to Rachel. I didn't. So I wrote it, and I wasn't sure that I was going to post it because it was very. It painted me in a very unfavorable light. I was just a selfish motherfucker. And like the whole first few paragraphs is me bitching that you had one and I didn't. and I was like very upset. But I turned it around. It's very nice towards the end. And Huffle says, now I won't have to commit murder to get a PS5, and that is correct. A life has been saved. Actually, 2 lives. 2 lives. My life and the life of the person that I would have killed.
There's going to be a case opened against us. And then you're going to try your damnedest to deny it.
But we have video evidence now.
Literal evidence of you willingly saying, I will commit a crime.
Yeah.
And sometimes even detailing the crime.
Yep. This is why I shouldn't move to Florida. Because... Hold on.
Because of the Florida man shit?
Yeah, because I will become Florida man. I will become Florida man.
Why are you proud of this?
I'm already Florida man. I actually travel to Florida, commit crimes, and then I come back. And all of the headlines, it's all me.
Stephen Thomas Morrow, once again admitting crimes and giving it ample evidence right here.
That would actually be a kind of neat, like, Netflix series.
Florida man?
Yeah. But it's just some, like, deranged individual who like, flies in. So, anyways.
I never noticed this about myself. So, to give you an idea of the year I had, I went to the dentist, right? And they're checking my teeth, they're going through this stuff. And, like, if you had any pain or anything like that, I'm like, a couple months ago, I had a sharp pain in my tooth out of nowhere. And it was, like, 2 or 3 days, and eventually it just went away. Like, well, where did you feel it? Like, from my tooth up to my ear. I didn't know if it was an ear infection or something on my jaw or what. And they asked, do you grind your teeth a lot? And I was like, yeah, I mean, all the time. And you're like, how often? And I'm like, you're better off asking me when I don't, because it's often. And they're like, well, here's the deal, Alex. You have a fracture in your tooth. I have fractured one of my molars from grinding my teeth.
From grinding your teeth.
Yes.
And are you blaming me for grinding your teeth?
I'm not blaming you, but one of those moments right there, I was grinding my teeth, and like I've become very self-aware of when I do it now since being told that, and I'm like, holy shit, I really do it all the time, all the time.
Well, I'm sorry.
I don't know what that says about me as a person, but
so after a few years of doing this show, you're gonna just have no teeth.
Why? No, I'm gonna.
You're gonna grind your teeth away.
No. I've been prevented. I got a mouth guard. Like I have to get a bite guard and everything.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's on. The teeth are staying.
Okay.
I'm not losing those bad boys.
Wow.
Steven, today's a special day. Not only because DualSense has made its whatever long hiatus return, and you also have a PlayStation 5 you can announce it to the world.
There are several reasons to celebrate, but perhaps the biggest reason
today is the birth of the PlayStation 5.
Well, the birthday.
The birthday. It was born in a factory probably beforehand and officially was released to the world on November 12th of 2020.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about because it doesn't seem like that much time has passed.
Yeah.
But also, so they made a blog post on the PlayStation blog, and they went through some of the stats.
McNamee.
Or was that Amanda?
Is that Amanda? Hi, Amanda. How are you?
You say the name and you're like not interested, and then I'm like, oh, that's Amanda, and then you're like, oh,
I'm like, oh,
hello.
I'm I should never become a celebrity because I would be openly like, I don't know who the fuck you are.
You're like, all right, I don't fucking care.
That'd be terrible.
I don't care, and then you hear the name, and then you're like, oh,
yeah. But anyways, it's as you said, it hasn't felt like it's been a year, but at the same time, a lot has happened. I mean, we're still facing a lot of the same issues, right? It is still incredibly, incredibly difficult to get a PlayStation 5, but it has already set itself up as having a solid lineup of first-party exclusives, and continues to do so with everything we've seen from State of Plays going forward.
Sorry, I'm all giddy. Sorry. This is exciting for me, okay? It's been too long.
I should have poured bourbon. The beer wasn't enough.
Just like straight alcohol.
Let's go.
Like 100% alcohol.
Rubbing alcohol in the body.
Just inject it. It's fine. Oh, there's a fuzzy.
Anywho, so Stephen, let's reflect back on this, right? So for me, I have a different perspective than you on the PlayStation 5, just because of how long I've had mine, for starters. I played a lot of those games.
You got one like immediately.
I pre-ordered. I got it launch.
Yeah.
Well, not launch day. I had it ordered. It was supposed to arrive launch day, but because of shipping and whatnot, I got it 2 weeks later. But for the most part, yeah. So I played a lot of those launch titles right off the bat. And if I didn't beat, I at least sampled them. So I played and beat Bugsnax. I played Miles Morales. I played Demon Souls. It was
waiting for you to name the best one. You know this.
I do?
Yeah. The best launch title on PS5.
Astrobot?
Yes! Astro's Playroom.
Granted, a great game, but still,
It's the best launch title.
I mean, it is a good... It's hard for me to think of that as a launch title.
What, just because it's baked in? There was more love and effort
but
put into that game.
It is a fantastic 10 out of 10 of a tech demo.
I think it's a little bit bigger than a tech demo, but...
I mean, I don't think they argue that point. Like, they just wanted to make sure we had a really good tech demo that demonstrated the power of not necessarily the PlayStation 5 itself, but the DualSense controller. But anywho, so for me, playing those games in the beginning, I was extremely excited, right? I was super pumped up, and I went through, I platinum Miles Morales right away. I went through platinum Bugsnax, platinum Astro's Playroom. There was so much. I was all about it. And then there was what felt like a drought of games.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily true. There were still games coming out. But it was hard for me to determine. After a few months in, I was hard-pressed to ask myself, was it worth getting a PlayStation 5 now, outside of the fact it would be extremely difficult to get one later?
Yeah, and that's actually a big reason why even though I was initially upset, I kept saying, like, my whole mantra was, this isn't going to be a problem not having a PS5 until Ratchet & Clank comes out. because it seemed like that was the first real first-party exclusive on PS5. Of course, Returnal happened as well, but at the time that wasn't first-party. But yeah, I think that was, other than Astro's Playroom,
Demon Souls remake.
But Bluepoint, they weren't first-party then.
That's true.
So, like in that mindset at that time period, I think Ratchet and Clank was the first one. But yeah, and then Ratchet and Clank came out, and then I started to have a problem.
Yeah.
But there was nothing that I could do about it.
It's really... I mean, it was weird because I was like having a hard time because everything was still coming out on PlayStation 4 as well.
Yeah,
So
that's what made it so weird, and
Yeah.
it was great for someone like me
Mhm.
because I could still get essentially PS5 games on the PS4. Like I got Sackboy: A Big Adventure,
Yep.
and I played that on PS4, and I think that kind of set the tone for the first year of PS5, where it wasn't really, it didn't feel like a normal PlayStation console launch, really, for me at least. Partially because I didn't have one, but also
Fair.
because there just weren't really that many exclusive titles, and every time a new game was announced, we would later find out that it was also coming to PS4
with a free upgrade to PS5 if you got one.
But now, excuse me, it's all a beer.
It's all beer.
It's
The
all
two
a
sips
beer.
he's taken of his beer.
Listen, I may or may not have had a beer before I left.
Did you?
Yeah,
All right.
it's a thing. There's the wooden cask right by where I work, and so sometimes
we need to
this
go
is
there.
this is off the record, by the way. I do not drink at work, but sometimes people buy me drinks and I'm at work.
We need to go to said wooden cask.
It's real good. They have good pizza.
I might be able to do it tomorrow, honestly. And you're hanging around for a bit tomorrow, right? Or are you busy?
Well, so I'm hanging out, but then at 2:00 actually I have plans with Amanda. So, but we can all go to Wooden Cask.
I mean, I'm going out with this as long as, the lady's all right with it and the baby's not fussing and whatnot. I'm good with it.
Baby can have pizza. No, baby cannot.
He cannot. He's wrapped in the solid food, so we're easing him into it. Anyway, Hooser, let's get back on pace here. So I mean, it was really hard. I mean, it's a lot of the heavy hitters, right? Like a lot of the games when they first announced the PlayStation 5, that were like most people were reasons like this is why we buy a PS5, have announced been coming out on PS4. So Miles Morales came out on PS4 and PS5. Like, that was okay. That was fine. God of War Ragnarok was announced. It's kind of ambiguous if it was coming to both or not. Later announced it was coming to both.
Yeah.
Horizon Forbidden West, same deal as God of War Ragnarok. What's going on?
Even Gran Turismo,
Gran Turismo, yeah,
which we didn't think was even going to be possible on PS4.
But here it is.
But yeah,
it's coming. The only game that really stuck to and said no, we're strictly PlayStation 5, and even then it took a while to get that message, was Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Rift Apart. So it was like, why do I need this thing outside of the fact that I need it? And it kind of, for a while, like I got to a point where I was just playing my PS4. I stopped using my PlayStation 5 because my PlayStation 5 was in a room that I wasn't always in anymore due to navigating with the baby and whatnot. And it made more sense for me as someone who likes to get trophies. If I'm going to buy a PS4 game and know I'm going to get a PS5 upgrade, I'll play the PS4 version of the game first. It's still the same game. Load times are a bit slower, but I've lived with it for 7 years at this point. So what the freaking do?
And then you just get the upgrade, and then all the trophies.
All the trophies pop,
and
so
that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
So during this whole period of time, I would visit Alex, and we would play PS5 when I would visit. But I would be playing the games on the PS4, and then when I would come over, I would just transfer the save, and then I would get all the trophies that would pop up. So I got 2 platinums for PS5 games doing that without even having a PS5. And technically I got, I think, 3 PS5 platinums without having a PS5.
What was it? Bugsnax? No, not Bugsnax. Spider-Man?
Spider-Man Remastered.
Uh-huh.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm-hmm.
And Astro's Playroom.
Yeah. That's true. Okay. But it was like, why? And even now, I struggle. So I just recently picked up Guardians of the Galaxy, and I debated, should I buy the PS5 version or the PS4 version? I am still buying PS4 versions of games because I get a free upgrade or I pay $10, at the minimum to upgrade to the PS5 version. Like, why? But if I buy the PS5 version of the game, I don't get jack shit. I mean, I get the PS5 version of the game,
but you don't get like the downgrade.
I can't go backwards.
Yeah.
So I find that kind of. I mean, I understand the reason why. Like, the technology is probably hard for the PS4 to like, hey, I don't know what this is, to even recognize it. Whereas the PS5 can.
I wish that they would just automatically do that, like on your account. Like, just you buy the PS5 one and then you just get the PS4 game as well.
Well, the hard part about that would be is like, even with the PS4 disc, the PS5 still says you need the PS4 disc. So it's. I think it's reading the information. But at the same point, though, why not just release one disc? Why is there a PS5 version and a PS4 copy to buy separately at the store? Yeah. Especially if you go in the PlayStation store. It doesn't give you the option to separate between the two. If it's got a PS5 version, you buy the PS4 version, you get both. Why is it harder for someone to go to a retail store and pick up, like, which one should I get? If you're consumer friendly and it makes sense, I mean, hell, that's another thing. Is like, sometimes you can get away with buying the PS4 version of the game cheaper than the PS5 version, but still get the PS5 version for free.
Yeah,
and it's like, what
it's
the
really
hell?
Weird the way that they do that. I think they're just not focusing on marketing the games for PS5 as heavily, just because. I mean, well, I was going to say because not that many people have them, but
13.4 million PlayStation 5 consoles worldwide since launch, and that was October 28th.
And that's a shit ton. They actually, I think they have an updated number on the PlayStation blog. If you pull up the blog post that they had, I think they say more than some specific number.
And they're talking about gameplay there.
So here, actually, let's unpack this whole blog post. Let's just take it one step at a time.
So this comes from our family neighborhood, Jim Ryan, on the PlayStation blog. A year seems flown
good old Jim.
We've had 1 year with landmarks of iconic places. So incredible games with Ratchet and Clank, Returnal, Deathloop, purchasing development studios for Bluepoint, Firesprite, Housemarque, and Nixxes.
Okay, so let's stop there.
Yeah.
Studio acquisitions this year.
Yeah.
I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the most a PlayStation's ever done in 1 year. I might be totally wrong.
There was a year, I feel like they went, hold on, let's see here.
While he's looking this up, if chat wants to chime in, what is your favorite studio that PlayStation has acquired this year? So there's, what even are they? There's Housemarque, Bluepoint,
I'll read them off again.
Nixxes. There's another.
Firesprite.
Firesprite, yeah.
That's it.
Is Firesprite the one that did
that was the one
Persistence?
I can only for this Persistence. They were the developer where a lot of people came over from the Wipeout development team.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they put out something earlier this year, I can't remember what, but they, at least not off the top of my head, I think it was a VR title. But
I think
a lot of
Persistence, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people from that development team originally were from
Studio Liverpool or whatever.
Yeah, Studio Liverpool, and they with the Wipeouts and the whatnots.
Wipeout is actually making a return. I don't know if you saw, but Wipeout, there's a new Wipeout game and it's on mobile. And it's a card game of all things. They turned a racing game into a card game, which is strange, but Demi in the chat says, the last PlayStation I owned was a PS2. Went to Xbox after that. Demi,
did you?
You're in the wrong stream.
No. She's in the right place. She's in the right place because we can have an honest conversation with her.
No, I'm just pulling a leg. I'm just pulling a leg.
We can say like, hey, if what are the reasons that you switched? What are the reasons you haven't gone back yet?
Yeah, give us the reasons.
I mean, I'm not attacking her. I just want
justify your actions, Demi.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Also, Trip Fantasy
4.
in the chat says Bluepoint for sure.
Looking for that Bloodborne remaster.
Ooh.
Does Bloodborne need a damn remaster? It was on the PS4.
It still doesn't even have a patch for PS5.
I mean, that's fine. It still gets the PS4 Pro boost mode when running on PS5. So it runs better.
Yeah, I still think that's one that's very requested.
It
heavily
is.
requested.
It is, and I just don't. For me personally, I don't understand why. The game is. Look what you done did.
Demi says that they're feeling attacked.
Look what you did.
I'm sorry.
We go live one time, and this is what you did.
I'm already. See, I'm murdering people, attacking people.
Yes, this year was.
It's fine. Nothing but love here.
This year, they acquired more studios than ever. The only other year being. Really, a lot of the places there was not a year input. This is all as of no, this is from Wikipedia, so there could be some inaccuracies here. But from what I'm seeing, a lot of these studios have already been with them for quite some time, if not originated with PlayStation.
All right.
So,
well, what's your favorite acquisition?
My favorite acquisition, Insomniac, hands down.
Oh yeah, Insomniac. That was before.
That was 2019.
Yeah, so but it was still. We'll count it.
Why?
In the past year.
What?
It's like right on the
years
precipice.
ago.
It's fine.
No,
it's fine. I count it as like a PS5 era acquisition.
I mean, to be fair, the first game they put out, I think after that was Miles Morales, because Spider-Man on PS4 came out before the acquisition was done.
Yeah.
I think talks were in place.
Yeah, and then it was Miles, and then Spider-Man Remastered, and then Ratchet and Clank.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, can we just take a moment to talk about how Insomniac carried the PS5 during its first year?
And continues to do so. So let's think about this here.
Okay, all right.
So out of all of the first-party developers for PlayStation, under PlayStation Studios banner, they are the only developer who's committed to making every game they put out strictly on PlayStation 5. Outside of Miles Morales, which because that was in development before PS5 and it was a spin-off of the Spider-Man.
And that was a launch title.
We have that. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2.
Which is PS5 exclusive.
And Wolverine.
Which is
going
to be a PS5 exclusive.
Exactly. 3 games. Okay. That is more than any developer out there. And what I appreciate about them is that they aren't afraid to say it. They put it out there. Boom. This is the deal. This is what you're
getting. People get excited.
You're damn right. It gives them the reason to own an account. They spend $400 to $500 on this fucking console if they didn't go through a scalper. And there has not been a legitimate reason outside of an Insomniac game and maybe a small handful of other titles to buy a PlayStation 5. And even those other titles, Demon's Souls, eventually come into PC. Right?
Yeah.
God of War, coming to PC eventually at some point. There's not been a single Insomniac game to hit anything outside of a PlayStation.
That's a good point, actually.
Outside of Fuse and Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, but that's outside the realm of PlayStation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, yeah, I appreciate the hell out of them, and they are my favorite acquisition because they're the only ones that have carried this system and continue to do so.
I feel like that was the deal of the century, too. Because they are worth so much more than they were bought for.
So I think the big thing for them is that they held out. They were very much like staying independent.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, it made sense because, and it worked out, I think, in their favor, especially with COVID-19, to have someone being able to fund them instead of having to fund themselves.
Yeah.
That saved them. Anything else they had put out that wasn't on PlayStation, while got critical success, like Sunset Overdrive, they were never commercial successes.
Yeah.
If Sunset Overdrive had launched on PlayStation, I argue to this day we would already have Sunset Overdrive 2.
That's a fair point.
Sorry, I mean, like, it was great on Xbox. It was awesome, but there just there weren't people buying the game. And I think with the PlayStation branding, with Insomniac, that triggers a lot of nostalgia. People are on it. They're ready to go. And there's a lot to bring to the table. People would have bought that game.
Yep. So I think they're going to be a big deal moving forward because it seems like they are basically PlayStation's personal Marvel studio. Because they have Spider-Man, which is... I don't think it's going out on a limb saying that that's Marvel's most valuable...
He's the most valuable superhero IP in the country. The only person behind him is Batman. And he's been there for years.
They've got Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Batman games are coming to PlayStation, so that's fine. But now Wolverine, which is kind of... Like, Wolverine kind of has a lot of history in video games. Like, I don't think there's been a bad Wolverine game.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. X2 Wolverine's Revenge on the GameCube and PS2.
Okay,
that game
all
was
right,
hot
okay,
ass.
okay.
It was
Well, I
total
remember
dog water.
I remember the Wolverine games that I played. They weren't phenomenal, but they were fun.
Well, he didn't have a lot of single games just about himself. I think X2 might have been the first big one. And then there's X-Men Origins Wolverine on the PS3 to 360.
I think that's the one that I
which,
remember.
the Uncaged edition, so not the Wii version, top notch. I can't complain. I loved it. It was brutal. I got a platinum in it. It was awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll drink to that.
Damn right. Bub.
But yeah, even with it basically just being an Insomniac machine for the first year, for the most part, that kind of makes me more excited for the future because I feel like there are so many other studios that are working on things, and most of them we don't even really know exactly what's going on. And I think in the blog post that you have pulled up, it says 25 games.
Currently, more than 25 games in development for PS5 at PlayStation Studios.
And that's just PlayStation Studios, so that's not counting third party, obviously. And in the first year alone, I think they said more than 360 games
360
launched on PS5.
games launched. You've got 4.6 billion hours of gameplay on PS5 and broadcast
Jesus.
more than 26 million hours of content.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. That content number I'm happy for because they were very much focused on making it a content creation console-friendly thing.
Yep.
With the create button and the HD camera for the PlayStation 5.
Which I still need to get.
That made it... They're doing what they can to capture that market and say, hey, like, come to us. We make it easy. We're here for you. So...
And I mean, the PS5 got me into streaming.
There you go.
It's so easy. You press a button, you press broadcast, boom. That's why I started doing this. So
there you go. Kudos to them.
And also I had two really good friends who were streaming a lot as well, and they were doing a really good job, and I wanted to be cool like them. So so there's that too. But the PS5 makes it easy, which I like.
Well, go follow Hufflebug. Because I'm pretty sure she's
Hufflehug.
Hufflehug? Jesus.
Hufflehug.
Hufflehug. I'll get it right eventually.
Yes.
Whatever.
Hufflehug. And also the other streamer is Demi. In the chat.
I don't know.
Demi the Drac Queen.
There you go. Well, kudos to you too, Demi. I apologize if I should know you but don't. Just getting out there now. Sorry.
Also, shout out to Troop Fantasy Zero. That's my brother.
Nah, he's actually,
he says he's the best streamer.
What the hell? He's on PC doing the nonsense. Get him out of here with this.
He's getting really, really good though at like Dota. He's been playing Dota.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go pro.
I think you're good.
He doesn't want to go pro though.
Whatever.
He's definitely better than you.
Nah, what the fuck is he talking about? You know how many hours I put in the Dota?
You can't play MOBAs.
Dude, I play Pokemon Unite like a fucking fiend. You get out of here.
All right, okay, fine.
All right. So yeah, I mean, what? Now that we're on the topic here, and we've kind of talked about what the PlayStation's done, what do we want to see them do going forward with the PS5?
I feel like there's a lot, actually.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, with any console, the first like couple few years is always kind of like it figuring it out. It's almost like going back to square one.
Mm-hmm.
So they already did a good job of sort of like tweaking the user interface and making it a little bit nicer, specifically on the trophy side of things.
Yeah.
When it launched, trophies were kind of god awful, and now they are better. I would like to see maybe some more improvement in that vein, personally. The game help function is like almost there, but I don't think developers really care as much about it.
Yeah.
So it's really only supported in like, I think I've only played 2 games where game help is really supported. And that's Ratchet and Clank and that Maquette game that we got for free.
Yeah, so that, Sackboy always supported. Guardians of the Galaxy supports it.
Okay, that's good to know.
So that's pretty nice.
It's good to know.
Yeah, so I think it's coming. I think as we get more games in the future, we'll see that, especially with exclusives.
Yeah.
Something I want to see is, again, I don't. Well, I understand you don't want to cut out that major base of PS4 players, right? I think it's the tale as old as time itself. You got to nip it in the bud. You've got to trim the fat. Give people a reason to own this new console, because I want true PlayStation 5 exclusives. While I love Insomniac and I'm glad they're doing it, they should not be the only developer doing so.
I don't think they are. I just don't think we know about
that,
it.
and that's true. That's very much a real fact. I don't think I could argue that by any means. But I don't think that should have been the way. Having one game in your launch year be the only reason. Well, 2 games, sorry, Demon's Souls and Ratchet & Clank. That not enough.
Well, some people would make the argument for Returnal as well.
Returnal, yeah, that's true. Returnal was also one. So 3 games.
And I make the argument for Astro's Playroom.
I think you should have had, when you announced those 4 flagship games carrying the PlayStation 5 banner with Horizon, Ratchet & Clank, Spider-Man, and God of War, the only game that should have been on both platforms was Spider-Man. That's only because it's launching with the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Everything else, especially with how long it's taken to get here, could have been a PS5 exclusive just fine. Granted, yes, I understand the supply chain shortage, semiconductor stuff.
I'm kind of on the fence about the whole PS4, PS5 game thing, because on one hand, I want more people to be able to play games.
Mm-hmm.
And so having games available on both consoles is great. But on the other hand, I want the newest, shiniest, fanciest, most technically impressive, pretty thing.
Yep.
And you just can't get that when something is cross-platform.
And it's held back.
Cannot.
It's held back. You can't. You're asking a developer to put out something that, hey, we want you to showcase the power of this console, but we also want to make it available to people behind us. You can't do that. Not without taking some sacrifices. And I understand it, but you need to cut the cord. So in 2022, I want to see far less PS4 games coming out that are supposed to be big heavy hitters on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
With
if you own a PS4 and that's all you got, but if this continues to happen, there will be never a reason you need to go stress yourself out looking for a PlayStation 5.
Well, we know though that it is going to shift.
Yeah.
To be PS5 exclusive, because PlayStation kind of has the opposite strategy as Xbox right now, where Xbox is kind of making things available everywhere, which is fine, but I don't think it really caters to the whole setting the next technical benchmark or things like that.
I think you could argue that though. So I think with Xbox's smart delivery, right, it's not a confusing market. If you buy one, you get both. Plain and simple. That's it. Save files, transfer. Done. Achievements, transfer. Done. I think Xbox can still, while it's available on everything, right, I think you can still do that in advanced technology because you're putting it on PC. You're putting it on old consoles. So sure, you're not driving everyone to go out and buy an Xbox Series S or an Xbox Series X, but you're making it clear that this is a better place to play, and you're going to get it if you buy our console. Whereas PlayStation,
yeah, but it's still held back.
It's I'm not saying it's not.
A game available on all the things is held back by the lowest common denominator.
That's true.
So, PlayStation is also held back by the lowest common denominator, but their lowest is PS4, whereas, I guess
Xbox One.
Yeah, Xbox is kind of in the same boat, but still, going forward though, their lowest is still going to be Xbox One. Whereas I think PlayStation, their lowest will be PS5.
And that could be a true factor. But again, that PC component there, and that kind of opens the next topic. That PC component allows for those Xbox games that would normally be clocked out at what the Xbox can do out the window now, because these games can run better on a PC than they would a console. And we're talking exclusive. So Halo, Gears, Forza. those games can run at a better capacity than they ever have been because they're not going to just stay on an Xbox.
Yeah, but that just means they're better options. But
That's true.
Functionally, though, they still have to cater to the lowest common denominator.
That's true.
So, like, things like, and I know this is kind of a dumb comparison, but like something like the adaptive triggers or whatever in the DualSense.
Yeah.
That could be an integral part to an experience, but if something has to exist on a platform that doesn't have that controller support, then it can't be. Same thing with like the way that Ratchet and Clank uses the SSD to do like really fast transitions and dimension hopping and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
That just functionally cannot work on certain things. And so when you mix a gameplay mechanic with something that requires either like extremely fast processing or certain like tactile things, then that means you have to redesign the game in order to cater to those lower things. It's the same thing with like a VR game that's playable outside of VR is now suddenly not the same as a VR game that's strictly VR. It just functionally cannot be the same.
Yeah. So that again brings the next topic of PlayStation and PC. So we saw this become a thing with the announcement of the PlayStation 5, really, with a lot of the games they announced. Games like Final Fantasy 16, games like Demon's Souls Remastered, or the Demon's Souls Remake, whatever you want to call it.
And God of War.
Yeah. And Horizon. All of these games are now coming. Now, granted, they've taken a few years, and they're not coming out day and date. They're not coming out at launch. PlayStation announced that they've partnered with that studio, if not purchased that studio, that will be handling all of their PC ports for the most part to help transition that faster. Do you think we'll see games on PlayStation hit PC faster than it has before? And do you think that's going to hurt PlayStation with consoles at least? I don't think it'll hurt it as a brand, but...
So, I mean, we can throw the question to chat as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone else wants to chime in, they can. Me personally, I think, yes, we're going to see games like PlayStation games come to PC faster than they have before.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why they acquired Nixxes, for example, because they're known for PC ports. That's all that they've done. So, yes, I think we're going to see PlayStation Studios games come to PC faster. Do I think that that's bad? I think that's great.
Yeah, certainly.
I don't think we're going to see PlayStation Studio games show up on PC day and date. I don't think we're going to see that. I think it's going to be like a game comes out, and then a year later it comes out on PC.
So do you think that'll hold back the sales of PlayStation 5s? Because sure, you're going to have those people that I want the game now, right? But with the ever-growing PC gamer market, right, that market share is constantly going up. Constantly. Because it's more accessible than it ever has been. Do you think that's going to not halt, but slow down people buying PlayStation 5s, knowing that there's now the expectation this game is eventually going to come to PC?
I don't think it's going to hurt sales on the PlayStation 5. And the reason why is, think about like the most popular games. So the most popular games are, the big hitters like Call of Duty. I mean, we have a list of the most played games on PS5.
Yep.
And let's look at how many of those games you can also play on PC.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Fortnite, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, FIFA, NBA, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Destiny 2, MLB The Show 21, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Demon's Souls, and NBA 2K22.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of those except for 2 or 3?
2 of them, one of them coming probably next year.
Okay, so pretty much all of those you can also play on PC.
Yep.
PlayStation 5 is the fastest selling console in the history of consoles.
Yep.
I don't think that I don't think it makes an iota of a difference.
Well, I mean,
honestly.
that's what I'm saying, not necessarily now, right? But in the future. Because a big part of it was, in the beginning, PlayStation, hearing a PC game or a PlayStation exclusive game coming to PC wasn't heard of.
Yeah.
Now that trend's been broken. Sure, it's taken a few
We
years.
are kind of in the wild west.
Yes, but we're getting to a point where that's going to become more of a reality. So, do you think reality and those games are coming to PC? I think that will slow them down, knowing that.
I don't think so, because I think the product is different.
Okay.
Or different enough. And again, I'm trying to think about things both personally and also as like an outsider kind of experience, where personally, I like PlayStation because it's simple, it's all self-contained. I don't have to do all this extra shit.
Right.
I like just being able to plug a thing in and play a thing. I like the user interface. Everything's simplified. That's why I have an iPhone and a MacBook. It's more accessible, and to echo what Huff is saying, it's more convenient.
Yep.
To the general public. I think that is really what people are buying.
Okay.
And on top of that, they are buying the exclusives and things like that. And there are still going to be the heavy hitter exclusives that I don't think we'll see come to PC at all. And I mean, as of right now, yes, there's God of War, Horizon, and Demon Souls, things like that, Death Stranding, even though that's not first party. Still, we don't have Last of Us Part 2 on PC. Do I think it'll happen? Maybe. But as of right now, we don't.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have Spider-Man on PC.
Yeah.
So, like, I still think there's going to be those flagship exclusives, like the big heavy hitters that kind of just, like, completely shake the industry. I think they'll keep those on PlayStation.
Now, can you say that knowing Uncharted is coming to PC?
Uncharted
It took a while.
Uncharted shook the industry on PS3.
That's what I'm saying. So it took some years, right?
But also, Uncharted is one of those games that I think is important for the industry, but I don't think it hit like pop culture as heavily as something like Spider-Man,
Fortnite. Okay, that's fair.
Like I think those are a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think that the people who care about Uncharted have already played Uncharted, and so now they're reaching out. But I don't know. What do you think it's going to look like in the future?
I mean, I think I agree with you. I don't think I think it'll slow some things. Yes, but it'll be a small amount because console gaming. You are selling to the convenience factor, not to the performance factor. You are selling to accessibility. You're still going to have parents that are just going to buy consoles because it's easier. You're going to have grown adults buying consoles because it's easier to do than building a PC. Now, do I think we're going to see more PlayStation heavy hitters hit PC? Hell yes. We're seeing it now. I think PlayStation right now is trying to feed into, we've got to attract more buyers. How do we do it? Well, the only market we can tap into that delves into every market is PC. The only way we're going to get those people to come out and, make them feel that rush of getting the game right away as opposed to hitting PC is by putting a taste of the games we have out now on PC. But I think they're going to get money hungry. I think they're going to think those games are going to sell on PC. And it's going to be like, well, hell, if we can just sell the game on PC and make the money, why not just do it?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. And I think that at the end of the day, they're a business and they want to make money. And the best way to make money is to have your product everywhere.
And by creating their own label of PlayStation Studios and now owning Nixxes, this makes it easier.
Yeah.
The problem was before they didn't have everyone under the same banner, right? There was no logo with PlayStation they could sell. Now there's a PlayStation logo that goes out on every case. It's not Sony Computer Entertainment. It's not Sony Computer Entertainment of America. It's not Sony Interactive Entertainment. It is PlayStation Studios you see in those cases now.
That's interesting too, because we did kind of see a little bit of that like sort of PlayStation centric branding happening in the past, like around the PS3 era, where like you saw PlayStation branded TVs and you would see like PlayStation branded like reality television shows and PlayStation branded like series. Like what was the superhero
Powers?
One? Yeah, Powers, and then there was that anime Zammed or whatever.
Yep.
So you started to see this sort of like tentacular PlayStation branding everywhere. but it just never really caught on. And that was at a time where Sony as a brand, like Sony was going down, like Sony Electronics, but PlayStation was consistently doing better and better and better. And then people just didn't like the content back then when they were doing that.
Very true. Yeah.
People hated the shows. People didn't like the extra shit. The TVs were cool.
That it didn't make any sense to the way of navigating those shows was weird.
Yeah,
It was
having it sort of like stuck on a PlayStation console as well was
that
weird.
yeah.
So now like that went away for an entire generation
Mm-hmm.
for all of the PS4, and then now with the PS5 out, we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing PlayStation branding kind of leak out into other things, namely television and movies.
But so it's leaking out, yes. But when it comes to the games, it is more so the games now. That's PlayStation Studios thing. So yeah, we're seeing things with movies and shows, but we're not gonna. I don't think if we go to see Uncharted in theaters, right? I don't think we're gonna see Sony Columbia, right? I don't think we're gonna see PlayStation Studios.
Oh, I think we will.
I think they are strictly focused.
We saw it in the trailer. In the trailer, it said PlayStation Studios.
Oh, okay.
So like they're putting that front and center, and also with like the Last of Us HBO series and with the Twisted Metal series that's coming out, which I'm very curious about.
Yeah, we'll see.
Very curious about. Comedic Mad Max. I'm all for it. But anyways, I think that they're going at it with that approach, and I feel like that is going to help with the whole PC side of things as well.
Yeah.
Because now that this branding is getting outside of the PlayStation ecosystem, the console ecosystem, I should say, I think PC gamers are going to see that, and then maybe they'll, like, with the movie trailer for Uncharted, for example, immediately after the trailer, there was like a 5-second splash screen that said Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection, or not the Legacy Collection. Yeah. That's what it's called. The Uncharted Legacy Collection available on PC on this date.
I think you are going to see PlayStation more as a publisher than as a console. If they nail that down, they're in.
And I'm perfectly fine with that, because as much as I love their hardware, I think PlayStation games are or PlayStation content, I should say, is, in my opinion, next level.
If you had, let's go back to 2006. The Xbox 360 is out. It's dominating console sales.
Traveling back in time.
PlayStation 3 is struggling. But what kept PlayStation alive all the way through that generation was its first-party titles. If PlayStation was, at that time, not making consoles, but was a publisher of games, and they put them on Xbox 360, PlayStation would have carried the Xbox 360, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, that was sort of PlayStation's most experimental phase. We had almost entirely from Sony Japan Studios, rest in peace. Holy shit. Like, there were so many just amazing ideas and just weird concepts and weird gameplay mechanics and things, and almost all of them were just tied to PlayStation. I mean, that's the time period. Was it actually 2006 when Flower came out?
Well, no.
Was that
so
earlier?
PlayStation launched in.
I'm really bad with time.
Yeah, because Xbox 360 came out in 2005, and then the Wii and PlayStation 3 launched in 2006. So it was. I don't think Flower was a launch title, but 2007 when we started seeing things trickle out, because it launched. The console itself launched in November of 2006. So 2007 is when you started seeing things coming out. 2008, 2009 is where you started seeing the heavy hitter first-party titles.
Well, like, I mean, we can look at just strictly Sony Japan and Sony Santa Monica and look at what they did publishing-wise.
Yep.
And it's phenomenal in that time period, because we had things like Flower and Journey, and we had things like Unfinished Swan, which at the time was Sony Santa Monica, I believe. I could be wrong. But we also had things like Tokyo Jungle, which...
Pain,
Jesus Christ. Pain. If that game came out today, I think it would be a bigger deal than it was back then.
Super acrobatic, hyper-powered battle rocket
Supersonic acrobatic rocket-powered battle cars.
Jesus.
The precursor to Rocket League.
Same development team. So, again, if you saw that on Xbox, which I don't know, that may have been on Xbox. Maybe not. But if you saw that then, that would have taken off. Personally, because everyone in their home had an Xbox 360. It was the king of consoles at the time. So,
Davin's sharing some memories in the chat. He's I'm sitting here trying to relearn the taste of peanut butter. Back at that time, Steven and I would dance to the RuneScape music. So, that's true. That's very true.
I don't doubt it's true, but why? Never mind. Don't answer that question.
RuneScape had some great music, okay?
Good Lord.
Great music. Phenomenal. Highly recommend.
So what do you think going in? We have a month left in the year, right? We've got December coming up. We've got the Game Awards. Do you think, one, we will see another state of play? And then two,
This year?
yeah. Do you think we'll see any big announcements PlayStation 5 wise at the Game Awards?
Do I think there's going to be another state of play? I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Because we're coming in close. We've only got 4 weeks, right? Like 4.5 weeks left in the year.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Any PlayStation announcements at the VGAs? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think definitely.
Exclusive announcements? Or games that will just be on PlayStation 5?
I think exclusive announcements. Traditionally, PlayStation has had either exclusive announcements or exclusive reveals at the VGAs. And interestingly enough, they're often tied to Kojima Productions, and maybe we'll hear about their next project at the VGAs.
It's possible.
So
It's a real deal.
I would bet money on that
All right.
if I had money.
That's also fair.
Speaking of which, if you want to support the show, I'm gonna put that back up on the screen. You can go to mtfproductions.com/donate. Your money helps support us, two fine gentlemen. It helps us with new equipment. It'll help me get a subscription for this video studio thing so we can have fancier assets and overlays and shit like that.
Looking at my half-done shelf, my unfinished basement behind my head, or my extremely blinding light behind my head.
Yeah, we'll have more of a studio presence. And it'll allow me to place more bets on video game predictions.
That's the real thing. Funding Steven's gambling addiction.
My gambling addiction. Because really, if I'm not murdering a man, then I have to at least be gambling.
You have a poor track record of gambling on this show, by the way. I hope you know that.
Oh, what other bets have I made?
We made a bet on predictions as to who would win what nomination, or who would win what at the Game Awards last year, and you lost badly.
Okay, listen. All right. But
I mean,
for half of that, though, I thought we were picking our favorites, and then we switched halfway through to what we thought would actually win. So, cut me some slack.
No.
We need to do that again, by the way.
All right.
And we can have like a chat vote as well.
Here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. I've got way more vacation time than I probably should that I have to use. So like the next month and a half, I am not working. And you better believe one of those weeks is Game Awards week because it's also my birthday week. So
that's true.
So yeah.
All right.
So that's a real thing. Don't
celebrating all kinds of birthdays.
That's right.
Okay.
I'll more than likely, not gonna lie, be playing a whole lot of Halo because it drops on my birthday.
That's fine. That's fine.
But so I tell you what, for me, do I think there will be any PlayStation exclusive announcements at the Game Awards? No. There hasn't been in a hot minute that I can think of, at least I think notable.
Even exclusive reveals.
Nope. I think we'll see reveals, right? But I don't think they'll be PlayStation exclusive. I'm not banking on it. PlayStation has lately been very much, if there's an exclusive,
they do their own
we're thing. Doing our own thing.
Yeah.
Do I think there will be a state of play? Also no. And let's dive into the next thing I want to bring up. State of plays. What in the absolute fuck is on their mind that they're like, yeah, we can do a state of play for that. I can't think of there's been 2 memorable state of plays in maybe the last year and a half, and that was the PS5 reveal. Mm-hmm. Not even the reveal. Yeah, the reveal when they announced the pre-order date and everything like that, which still ended in a fucking debacle because everyone and their grandma blew their load and started selling pre-orders hours before they were supposed to.
Yeah.
And then the most recent one that happened where they announced Wolverine, Spider-Man, and everything.
They showed Forsaken.
Yeah.
Or Forspoken.
Forspoken. And they showed
the
all
game
stuff
looks
off.
amazing.
Those are the only two memorable fucking state of play.
Well, hold on. Hufflehug here disagrees. Hufflehug really liked the Horizon state of play, where they did a reveal for Horizon and they did the deep dive, the new features for that. And I liked that state of play too. Now, as far as it having like the big like wow factor, I mean, I agree with you there. Just because we knew that was coming, and you know we know what Horizon is.
So here's my thing with that though. So Hufflehug, let me come at you a little bit.
All right, okay.
So
all right,
why
we're coming at you.
Let's think about this. Nintendo, right? When they announce a new Direct, it is a culmination of quite a few things. It's either big announcements, small announcements, but it's announcements. And if they want to focus on an individual game, they tell you we're gonna have another individual presentation strictly on this thing, either right after the show or at a later date. It's not a Direct. It is a glorified dev diary. Why in the hell are we putting State of Play when we're talking about the State of PlayStation on a singular game and just showing gameplay?
Well, allow me to intervene while we wait for Hufflehug's response. I think that they're doing that thing where they say, okay, we're going to talk about this. They just do it on the PlayStation blog. And they say, we're going to have a state of play at this time, and then they set your expectations. They'll say, we are only going to talk about this game. Or they'll say, we will not talk about this or this. And I think that that's good. And I think they're basically taking a Nintendo Direct approach. It's just
to an extent
only if you pay attention to the PlayStation blog.
So I don't necessarily say that. So even with Nintendo, if Nintendo has a Direct coming out, they either tweet, hey, we're going to have a Direct. We're not talking about this thing. There's still a lot of surprises. There's still a reason to watch, right? PlayStation, you're right, we'll say we're not going to talk about this thing. And they talk about this only, but they still only focus on, I don't need a half-hour gameplay video for a state of play. That doesn't need to be broadcasted out to the fucking world. That can be sent to the people that actually care about watching that.
The Horizon one wasn't half an hour.
I'm not saying they're all half an hour, but like I'm just averaging here. Because they did the same thing with Ghost of Tsushima. Did I need
that one wasn't half an hour either.
I'm just saying a number. I'm not being specific.
Just saying a number.
Damn, you grouchy old man.
I think those were 15 minutes.
15
tops.
minutes, but even then, like, do I need a 15? I feel like that tarnishes the name of State of Play. Like, the whole thing with State of Play when they first announced it is like, oh well, shit, the PlayStation's putting out Nintendo Directs, but PlayStation. This is good. So every time we hear, whenever you hear Nintendo Direct is happening, there's hype every time. Why? Because we don't know what we're gonna get, and it's always a culmination of announcements. Whether it's big or small, it's announcements. With a State of Play, half the time I'm like, I don't give a shit. Because I'm like, it's okay, gameplay. I'm not watching that. I'm not going to spend the time to watch that. I don't need an announcement that that's happening. Make it a blog post, let it go. I don't need you to give me I don't need to RSVP to watch gameplay on a video. Just put a link on the blog and I'll watch it. If you're going to tell me, hey, I have a state of play, you better believe I want bombastic. It can be a small little thing, but announcements.
I do like the theatrics. I do like the big, like, we are going to tell you all of these new things. I mean, they don't have to be big things. Like, one of my favorite new games that they revealed in the last State of Play was the ukulele game with the name that I can't remember.
Love it so much.
It looked, well, I'm going to get it as soon as it launches. It looked adorable. You can turn into animals. You can play ukulele. That's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, like, that was one of my favorite video game announcements from that State of Play.
Yeah.
And that was not like a big thing, but it was an announcement. So I understand where you're coming from. Hufflehug says, so Alex wants State of Play to be strictly announcements and not gameplay trailers?
I'm okay with gameplay trailers. 15 minutes of gameplay is not a trailer. It is a dev diary.
I like the deep dives as well, though.
I like the deep dives.
I like them.
But I think that should be kept separate. I think when you say State of Play, I'm going in expecting to hear the state of PlayStation. Not the state of Ghost of Tsushima, not the state of Last of Us Part 2, not the state of Horizon, not the state of God of War. I want to know about PlayStation as a whole. That's what I'm going in for. If I just want God of War, I will go in and say, oh, there's a new dev diary on the PlayStation blog about God of War Ragnarok. Oh, there's a new dev diary of Horizon Forbidden West, and they're going to show off a massive gameplay. I'm not saying we can't have gameplay trailers, But I'm saying we're going to have gameplay trailers. They are trailers, not 15 minutes.
That's fair. And like I like gameplay trailers better than like pre-rendered animated shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the deep dives, especially if you're not interested in that game, it can be kind of, I don't want to say disappointing because you don't have to watch it. Like that's the problem, I think, is so many people have so many expectations. And I think that it's good to go into all of these things with like either very low or no expectations. And then that way you're not disappointed. But like the same thing, we have like an expectation for what State of Play is. And while that was kind of set by when State of Play started, it was strictly, here's a thing with announcements, here's a thing with announcements, here's the thing with announcements. And then they started transitioning over to doing whatever the fuck with State of Play.
Right, and it's like, I don't care about it anymore. I make it a point to make sure I can sit and watch Nintendo Directs. When if I hear the Direct happening, I'm like, oh, cool, where am I going to be?
Well, see, I make it a point for State of Plays, even if it's just a gameplay review, even if it's a game that I'm not.
But see, I don't do that because I feel like I get more State of Plays that aren't about the State of PlayStation in a year than I do an actual State of Play.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, if you think about the number of State of Plays that have come through this year,
I think 2.
How many of them?
Was it 2 or 3?
Well, so there's the thing. There's been more than that. But there's only been 3
I mean,
of them.
as far as announcement ones.
Exactly.
And then there have been, I think, 2 or 3 gameplay ones.
Yeah, like I don't need to why can't that just be, like you said, a blog post? Why can't we just stay and they can advertise blog post?
I think the issue is though that people don't watch blog posts. People tune into State of Plays. So they're gonna milk that until it's dry.
Well, then that's why you do the Nintendo approach on that, right?
Yeah.
You say you have a State of Play and say, hey, if you want to see more on this game,
stay tuned.
On this day, we're going to show you more of this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. Hufflehug says that PlayStation needs to manage expectations. I actually think that people need to manage their expectations. Now, granted, I think that businesses, and PlayStation is a business and a brand, they're responsible for like marketing and setting expectations in that regard. But I think it's just a little bit easier to tell people, okay, we as individuals, like we only have control over ourselves, so we should set our own expectations. And then when you have no expectations, everything's a surprise. Everything's peachy.
I don't even think it's to say that, because PlayStation, if it's an announcement, PlayStation, like State of Play, they tell you it's gonna, like, they're very clear and transcribe, and they like transparent about what they're putting out. Like, hey, this video is this. Hey, we're not gonna have this. I don't think it's a transparency issue. They've got that down pat when it comes to the State of Plays.
So they set that expectation.
Yeah, I think they're fine with. I don't think they need to manage them.
You think it's just the name?
Yes,
they call it something else, like maybe gameplay deep dive or something.
Yeah, because if you say it's a State of Play, I don't care about State of Plays as much, because half of them, if not more, are just gameplay deep dives.
Yeah.
I that doesn't get me excited. If I hear I wanted the name of State of Play to carry the weight that Nintendo Direct does. When I hear it, I'm like, oh shit, there's gonna be something cool, or there's gonna be some neat things gonna be shown.
That last State of Play though was really fucking good.
That is real.
It was really good. That was like E3 level good.
But that's my thing. So Nintendo puts out directs like that relatively often, if not 3 to 4 times a year. PlayStation, maybe twice? Maybe.
Yeah, but if you think about it though, Nintendo games, not to shit on them, the quality is great, but they are not as expensive or time consuming to develop.
True.
Like, I mean,
you're not running 4K.
Flat out,
they're 4K. Yeah, it is what it is.
And they're very talented developers over at Nintendo. But I mean, you just can't compare something like that to like a massive budget like Last of Us Part 2.
But
like,
see, even then, we're not comparing the games. We're comparing...
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, yes, Nintendo can have more Nintendo Directs where they have these announcements because they're faster at releasing those games and they are faster at getting those that footage that they can show. But PlayStation games oftentimes take a very long time to develop, and they don't even come together until very late in development as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that might be a contributing factor as well. Nintendo first party is basically all of the hype behind Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people don't really play third party games on Nintendo unless it's like, carnival games or some shit like that. But we're beyond that now. We're in the Switch age.
Yeah.
So like, Nintendo first party is Nintendo, whereas PlayStation, they can get away with having some more third party things that kind of carry until a PlayStation Studios game is able to come out. So I think just like the speed at which games can be developed and revealed for PlayStation, it's a little bit different for Nintendo. And so I can understand trying to like sort of cushion that with smaller state of plays in between.
But even then, I think when you do that, you're still taking away, right? So you're right. Say Nintendo has 4 Nintendo Directs all about Nintendo products, right? The Direct name still carries and gets the hype. If you have a state of play, though, and again, because of the time it takes to develop those games and then what has to go into them, it's going to take longer, and you only get 2. That means when you hear state of plays dropping,
then you're going to tune in.
Exactly. You're going to get more hype.
I do think they've done a really good job of like sort of bookending the year, though, with really good state of plays. Like late last year, they had the big like PlayStation 5 reveal thing, and that was a really big one. And then just recently, they had another really big one, and that sort of like sets the stage for the next year. And I think that's good, and I like that.
Yeah, I think too. I think, like you said, bookending is good. I think it's fine. But again, my problem is having 1,000,001 state of play
with the name state of play,
and it's not really a state. Like I'm okay, cool. I'm learning about a game I've already seen. I mean, hell, we had a state of play about Deathloop, Steven.
There was a lot of Deathloop.
We had that game had been shown off in every state of play for like the last 2 years, and still got its own fucking state of play.
Yeah, I think they just really want people to like buy it when it comes out, but then immediately forget about it, because we haven't heard anything since it launched.
Which is
from PlayStation.
Crazy, exactly, and it's even that it's a 10 out of 10 masterpiece on I don't know how many different critical sites.
I have no interest in that game. It looks fine, but
I think it is interesting. So I think I'd have more appeals to it if I hadn't played Dishonored first. I wasn't a big Dishonored fan. I know a lot of people were.
Dishonored or Thief, I was not.
Yeah, but Dishonored being the same developer. So if I hadn't played Dishonored, I think I'd be more into Deathloop.
What was the other game that they did?
Arcane?
Yeah. Dishonored and
Prey.
Prey, there we go.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Thief.
Yeah, because Dishonored and Thief was like a poor man's Dishonored. But if I hadn't played Dishonored before seeing Deathloop, I'd be more interested. But because I know I didn't like Dishonored, I'm less inclined to say, oh man, Deathloop looks really cool. But it's done by that developer, so I'm like, eh.
And now you look at it and you're like, oh, Deathloop looks a lot like Dishonored.
Exactly. So I'm like, I don't know how that's my cup of tea. It looks like it's my cup of tea, but I'm going to play it and not care.
Well, we'll see.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah, maybe we'll play it eventually when it's free, or when it's discounted for like $5 because it's no longer a PlayStation thing. I don't know. Would Microsoft even discount it? I don't know. I guess it'd be up to them, wouldn't it?
For the most part, it's to an extent. I think they have some kind of control in that, but I mean, it'll also probably be on Game Pass when it does come to Xbox. So,
all right. So, hold on. Trip Fantasy has an idea that he shared in the chat.
Let's hear it.
Big idea. The people who made Ziggurat team up with Wizards 101 for the big remake targeted towards non-9-year-olds. What big remake of what?
Yeah, the Wizards 101 or Ziggurat? What the fuck is Ziggurat?
It's like a first-person spell game.
Okay.
That it's like procedurally generated. Imagine if Binding of Isaac was Harry Potter in first person.
Okay.
Okay, so remaking Wizards 101. Okay, all right. I feel it. I feel like Hogwarts Legacy is gonna.
I find it's Lord of the Rings more so, but yeah.
But all right, we shared your big idea, so now it's out there.
There you go.
It's reached 5 people.
And there you go. And Hufflehug coming in with the Hogwarts Legacy.
Hufflehug is excited for Hogwarts Legacy.
As am I.
I'm actually excited for it too. Even though we haven't seen anything since it was
and
unveiled.
I think there's a potential talk of it being delayed even more so.
Well, I think some of it, there were like some controversy because J.K. Rowling, and then now I think the game has been hyped up by other people that now I think what they had wasn't as impressive. This is my theory.
Mm-hmm.
I think what they had was not as impressive as people's expectations. So they're like, oh shit, we need to make sure that we are firing on all cylinders here.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's just my prediction. But speaking of that, we're going to wrap it up here soon because we're beyond an hour, which is fine. But things that we're excited about. So let's do this two different ways. First, let's rate year one of PS5,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's say what we're excited about for year two of PS5.
Hold on, what are we putting in this ranking? What are we talking? Are we talking about Are we talking in sales of the console, the games on the console, the experience of the
kind
console?
of like an overall, on a scale of 1 to 10,
Mm-hmm.
your personal feelings towards PS5 year one.
6 out of 10.
Okay.
That is based upon a big carrying factor that is that it did sell quite a lot. But it is detrimented by the fact that there is really only 2 big AAA titles that carry that console in its first year: Ratchet and Clank and Demon's Souls. Outside of that, you have Returnal, but Returnal is not a must-have, flagship game right now. It isn't. People like it, but it's not there.
It's a very specific audience
yes,
that they're targeting.
Exactly. So it's in that game, I'm hard-pressed to say it probably could have come out on PS4 with a couple things done, rolled back a little bit, but still get the same quality experience that you got out of it.
Gameplay-wise, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Visually.
Yeah, visually, no, probably not. But that, and then the console experience itself, it had a few hiccups, right? It happens. It is what it is. There's no way this console would have had a perfect score because new console launch hiccups happen. We're talking trophies. We're talking the weird fact that I don't hold down the PS button to turn off the console. I have to tap it, which is
that took a very long time for me to get used to.
It's still hard for me to get used to. It makes no fucking sense. Nothing else in the world does that.
Yeah.
Not a damn thing in the world does that.
I moved the power thing over so I didn't have to go all the way over. I moved it.
Oh, closer to
because you can customize the whole thing.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah,
and that was because at least it's there. But yeah, I find it very.
But I think I made it default to where my profile is, so I can get to trophies faster. So I tap it and then I tap X and then I'm just on trophies.
I did the same
instead of having to
go all the way down. And navigating certain things like navigation, like turning off your console, like finding your fucking trophies, sorting your trophies, and the fact that I had to resort them every time I pop up a thing.
Yeah, why doesn't it save your
preference? Why doesn't it save? It saved on 3 consoles if you include the Vita. It has saved it. This does not, and I don't understand why the hell that was just throw it out the window.
Yeah.
So I think there's some quality of life things that will be improved upon, but until we see definitive games launch next year that are strictly PS5 and give a reason to buy the console outside of the fact you can't find one, if you get one, you're just prepared.
Yeah.
A 6.
All right. I think I actually agree with you. Mm-hmm. I was originally going to say 5, actually. But, I think the system itself is solid. It's fast. It's snappy. I like the UI design overall.
Yes.
I think it's actually really nice. And once I've gotten used to it, I kind of love it. And I love it's mostly just the speed of navigating. It's so nice. And going back to PS4, it's god-awful.
The store is trash.
I could not stand it. Just trying to go to Netflix. It's 6 minutes just to wait for the menu to load and then go to the media tab and then wait for the apps to load and then go to Netflix and wait for that to load. It's so slow. But yeah, I think I'll agree with your 6 though. And also it performance-wise in terms of sales, amazing.
Yeah.
So my user experience and the sales, yes, it was really hard to get one, but a lot of people have them. So right. I feel like it's kind of it balances out in that regard. My biggest complaint is the lack of really benchmark first-party titles, which doesn't bother me too much because of the PS4 backwards compatibility. But I am a little bit disappointed a lot of it disappointed in the lack of PS3 backwards compatibility, which, even though they never promised that, they also never denied it before it came out. And I was just very excited about that, personally. And there's certain quality of life changes that I think they could make going forward. So I think 6 is a fair score. Yeah. So as far as new stuff, some people in the chat are sharing some of their things that they're looking forward to. Hufflehug says that Harry Potter fans have been asking for a Harry Potter RPG for years.
Yeah, and then J.K. Rowling became a bit of an ass, and now they're like, oh, do we want to buy that? Knowing she's going to get a penny from it.
It's still going to sell well, that.
It is.
And then Imagine McNamee says, no, it's going to be so good. Agreeing with Hufflehug there. Mm-hmm. Trip Fantasy is saying, what if all console OS had a you've been playing for X hours, playing for excessive time may have negative impact on your health?
I think every console, I can't say for Xbox, but I know PlayStation and Switch, like Hufflehug has said on the Switch aspect, tells you how long you've been playing a game and the last time you played a game. None of them tell you if it's a negative impact on your health.
Well, Nintendo sometimes does, depending on the game. And I was actually playing Death Stranding, and I think this happened on stream yesterday, where I was playing the game, and I went a very long time doing all these missions and stuff, and Norman Reedus was tired, and then a little tip came up on the screen that said, if Norman Reedus is tired, it might be time for you to take a break too. So it was specifically saying, hey, Norman's tired, you must be tired too. And I thought that was kind of interesting.
And Hufflehug also did mention that the villagers will tell you to take a break if you talk to them after a certain amount of time in Animal Crossing. It's also true. I think I was thinking more of the actual system itself, not the games.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. But yeah, keeping track of time, Nintendo does do that, and it's very easy to find. And PlayStation does that, but it's not as easy to find.
Yeah, and I have no idea if Xbox does.
No idea. But yeah, so what are some things that you're looking forward to for the second year of PlayStation 5?
I'm looking forward to whatever Insomniac has to put out. I am looking forward to seeing what... Honestly, it's hard for me to say what I'm looking forward to. I don't know too much about what's coming, right? I mean, things have been kind of in the wraps, and things that are coming that we know about are third party. So, but I very much specifically in the PlayStation side of things, I want to know. I have no idea. I have high hopes. Yeah. I think we'll see some returning IP. I think we'll see a lot more new IP than we have had in quite a while, and that'll be cool. I'm excited to see where PlayStation 5 takes us. I'm pumped. I want the reason to say why I spent $500 on this thing, and I think 2022 will be a good year for it.
I agree. I will echo that. I am most excited for the things that I don't know I should be excited for yet. Mm-hmm. There's always lots of really awesome surprises when it comes to PlayStation. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but surprises nonetheless. And I'm gonna do another one of those things. I'm gonna. This is not a bet. I don't actually think that I would bet money on this, but what if they announced a PlayStation Home for PS5? I would fucking love it. There's some rumors. There's some rumors in PlayStation Home. That's my jam. That's my peanut butter and jelly.
Let it die.
That's my RuneScape login music.
Let it die.
Speaking of Let It Die, they announced a new Let It Die game. Did you see that?
I did.
It looks fine.
I don't care.
It's not classic Let It Die, but still.
I don't care about classic Let It Die.
I just like the dancing girls in the little outfits. They just dance.
Trip Fantasy has then gone and say it is not Let It Die.
Trip Fantasy has spoken.
You are a hoe.
It may say Let It Die, but it is not Let It Die.
You are a hoe. He didn't say that, but I imagine he did under his breath.
He just says, you're a hoe.
Yep.
Just, you're a hoe. Mm-hmm. What a weird thing to say under your breath.
I mean, he's not in public. He's just by himself, I imagine, right now.
God damn it.
Maybe a friend in the room. I don't know.
Do you think he's naked? How many people do you think
No.
watch?
Thank you for listening.
Hold on. How many people do you think watch the stream or listen to the podcast while naked?
I'm not answering that question.
Do you ever think about how many people hear our voices while they're naked?
No, I do not.
I think about that. It's got to be two. At least two people have been naked and listening to us. At least two.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and watching and joining us on the 27th episode of DualSense's A PlayStation Podcast. We will see you next time.
Thank you so much. Stay tuned on Twitch, on YouTube, all the things.
All the things.
Love, love, love.